So anthropology tends to have a growing importance in our world. What is a hot topic in the subject?
One of the kind of most important crises of the contemporary moment, and therefore one of the most important things that we have to try and think through as anthropologists, is the environmental crisis. And when I talk about the environmental crisis, I mean it's a crisis in so many other things as well. We can't limit it to the environment, but talking about the environment allows us to talk about kind of inequality, capitalism, global commodity trades, all of these things. And it's kind of thinking about the environment in this broader and more political way that kind of shapes what we do in the MA programme that I convene. And we really try and tackle some of these questions.
I know that you were a previous student here. How does it feel to also convene a course?
It's a very surreal experience to come back and be on the other side of the room in a place where you were once the student. So I studied an amazing MA program called MA Music and Development. It actually doesn't run anymore. And now I'm convening a relatively new program. I think it's in its fourth year. It's called the MA Anthropology of Global Futures and Sustainability. So I've switched disciplines, which also adds to the kind of surreal experience, but it's amazing. And we do so many cool things in this program, and we have a great bunch of students, and we're kind of really concerned with looking at sustainability, not kind of just as an environmental concern, but as a social concern, and something that's kind of deeply political as well, and trying to untangle some of those things and ask these questions about why is it that we haven't yet got to a sustainable place, and try and figure that out together.
What's your favourite floor of the library at SOAS?
I think as long as I'm by that big, beautiful window, then I don't mind. When I was a student here, I used to love sitting there, and I think I spent more time looking out of the window than I did at the books, but it's a great view.
Yeah, the views are incredible, honestly. And so Alice, what is a quote that really guides much of your work?
So I think one quote that really sticks in my mind, that's by one of my favourite anthropologists, who's called Michel Rolfe-Triot, is a quote that comes from his book Silencing the Past. It's about power and the production of history. And the quote is, "The ultimate mark of power is its invisibilization. The ultimate challenge is the excavation of its roots." And I think that really covers so much of what we try to do as anthropologists. And so, I think it's a guiding one.
So how do you ensure that the voices of marginalised groups are represented in your work to do with ethnography?
For me, one of the most important things is language. And so in my work specifically, and I know that a lot of anthropologist colleagues do this, I think it's really, really important to learn languages really thoroughly, to not go through the kind of lingua franca of a region, but to learn the language that people speak every day amongst each other. And then once that's done, you have to really kind of carefully pay attention to the process of translation, because it's actually often not easy to represent the sense of what somebody is saying in their own language into English, obviously kind of a colonial language that doesn't neatly map on to the contours and subtleties of what you might find in indigenous languages. So I think part of how we tackle that is just kind of awareness to that problem and constant reflection on what it is to deal with that.
Yeah, the power of language is so important. Thank you very much, Alice. Really enjoyed this talk.
Thank you so much, Halima. Amazing questions.